Let us begin by deconstructing the fundamental shift in Indian governance, moving from a rigid command and control model to a fluid facilitator role. To understand NITI Aayog, you must first understand the structural flaw of its predecessor, the Planning Commission. Listen closely here. The Planning Commission worked on a top-down approach. This means policies were fabricated in Delhi and imposed on states regardless of their ground realities. This is a fragile axiom, because what works in Kerala may fail in Bihar. बिल्कुल fail हो सकता है. NITI Aayog, established on January 1, 2015, dismantles this by adopting a bottom-up approach. Here, the vision originates at the village and state levels and aggregates at the center. This serves the core philosophy of pro-people, proactive governance. So, why is NITI Aayog called a think tank and not a constitutional body? Dekho, unlike the Planning Commission, it does not have the power to allocate funds, which implies it lacks financial clout. Its power lies in ideas and knowledge. It is an executive body created via a cabinet resolution to provide strategic and technical advice. Simple hai. Now, refer to the paradigm shift visual on the left. Notice how the arrows shift from pointing down, representing imposition, to the tree growing upward, representing organic growth. This represents the transition from directing development to enabling it through cooperative federalism. Furthermore, the operational architecture of NITI Aayog is built on a hub-and-spoke model, which divides its functions into two distinct yet connected pillars. First is the Team India Hub. As the name suggests, this hub acts as the interface between the states and the center. Its primary function is to drive cooperative federalism by ensuring that states have a direct voice in policy design. Samajh aaya? Second is the Knowledge and Innovation Hub. This serves as the brain of the organization. As seen in the two hubs of NITI diagram, this hub connects with universities, global think tanks, and industry research orgs to bring cutting-edge research, data analytics, and global expertise into Indian policy making. Why is this separation necessary? Socho zara. Because you need one arm to manage political collaboration, that is Team India, and another to ensure technical precision, the Knowledge Hub. This dual structure allows NITI Aayog to function not just as a government department, but as a dynamic repository of innovation and specialized expertise, fostering a cycle where data informs policy and policy empowers states. Right?
Building upon the Team India Hub concept, we must now analyze how this abstract idea of cooperative federalism is structurally manifested in reality. The highest platform for this collaboration is the Governing Council, or GC. If you look at the Governing Council composition visual, you see the Prime Minister at the center, surrounded by Chief Ministers or CMs of all states and LGs of UTs. Why is this structure critical? In the earlier National Development Council, or NDC, states were often passive recipients. Here, the GC makes states equal partners. The logic is simple. India is too diverse for a single solution. By bringing the executive heads of all states to one table, the GC evolves a shared vision of national priorities. It is not the center dictating the agenda. It is a collective formulation of policy where the center acts as an enabler. Bilkul theek. However, a national body might be too broad for specific local issues. This is where the concept of regional councils, or RC, comes into play. Imagine a situation involving water disputes between three specific states, or a disaster management issue affecting only the coastal belt. The Governing Council is too large for this. Hence, regional councils are formed on a need basis to address specific contingencies affecting a cluster of states. As shown in the map visual, a Coastal Security Council would only involve coastal states, while a Northeast Infrastructure Council focuses on the Seven Sisters. This decentralization allows for targeted problem solving without burdening the national agenda. Deepening our understanding of the Team India concept, we must recognize that it is an ecosystem where the center and states work in tandem. It is not just about meetings, it is about operational mechanisms. The slide illustrates the Team India mechanism flow. Agenda setting leading to subgroups of CMs followed by expert consultation resulting in policy recommendation. अब देखो, why are subgroups of CMs created? When a complex issue like digital payments or Swachh Bharat arises, a smaller group of CMs takes ownership, studies the problem, and submits a report. This creates a sense of ownership among states. They are not just implementing central orders, they are drafting the blueprint itself. This creates a proactive federal structure where the distinction between the planner and the implementer blurs, ensuring that policies are practical, implementable, and politically inclusive. Got it?
Moving away from the organizational structure, let us now deconstruct the temporal framework of planning. The old Soviet-style 5-year plans were often too rigid. 5 years is too long for short-term tactical changes, but too short for generational structural shifts. To solve this, NITI Aayog introduced the 15-7-3 framework. Look at the 15-7-3 framework timeline visual. The overarching umbrella is the 15-year vision from 2017 to 2032. Why 15 years? Socho. Because aligning with international goals like the Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs and achieving massive infrastructural shifts requires a long horizon. However, a vision is useless without a strategy. Thus, the vision is broken down into a 7-year strategy known as Strategy at 75. This converts broad goals into implementable policy targets. Finally, to ensure accountability and adaptability, we have the 3-year action agenda. This is designed to be fast-tracked and aligned with electoral cycles and predictable funding windows. This layering ensures that while the destination or vision remains fixed, the path or action agenda can change dynamically based on real-time feedback. Clear hai? Focusing on the strategy for New India at 75, this document was timed to coincide with the 75th year of independence in 2022. Its objective was to accelerate growth to 8% and modernize key sectors. The strategy rests on 4 key pillars shown in the central graphic: drivers, infrastructure, inclusion, and governance. Drivers refer to the engines of growth like employment and doubling farmers' income. Infrastructure is the physical backbone like transport and digital nervous system like connectivity. Inclusion ensures that growth reaches the marginalized in areas like health, education, and gender. Governance acts as the lubricant, streamlining civil services and legal systems to reduce friction in the economy. Looking forward, the ultimate trajectory is Vision 2047, targeting a Viksit Bharat or developed nation by the centenary of independence. The graph Road to 2047 trajectory visualizes an exponential curve. To ride this curve, India must avoid the middle income trap. Seriously, this is a situation where a country gets stuck at a certain income level due to rising costs and declining competitiveness. The solution proposed is decarbonization or green growth, technology leadership like AI and semiconductors, and integration into global value chains. This is not just about increasing GDP, it is about transforming the quality of the economy. By shifting from a simple agrarian or service mix to high-value tech and industrial output, the framework aims to secure high-income status. This multi-layered planning architecture ensures that every short-term action contributes directly to the long-term dream of a developed India. Make sense?
We now descend from national strategy to the most granular level of intervention, the district and the block. The Aspirational Districts Program, or ADP, is a masterclass in corrective governance. The core logical problem it solves is the fallacy of averages. Dekho, a state might have a high average GDP, but specific districts could be extremely backward.
Launched in Jan 2018, ADP targets the 112 most underdeveloped districts. The philosophy here shifts from naming and shaming to motivating and hand-holding. The operational framework is the 3 C's. Convergence, meaning uniting central and state schemes to stop wastage. Collaboration, involving officer and collector synergy. And competition, where districts race against each other. The genius of ADP lies in its measurement metric called delta ranking. Refer to the legacy status versus incremental progress graph. Traditional rankings focus on historical standing, essentially how rich a district is today. This demoralizes backward districts because they cannot compete with developed ones instantly. Delta ranking, however, measures incremental progress. Listen carefully. If a backward district improves its vaccination rate by 20% in a month, it is ranked higher than a developed district that improved by only 1%. This rewards effort and speed of change, leveling the playing field. Bilkul fair hai. The ADP ratage distribution chart shows that health and nutrition at 30% and education at 30% hold the maximum weight. Why? Because these are the foundational capabilities of human capital. Without health and education, infrastructure at 10% or financial inclusion at 10% yields low returns. However, data analysis revealed that even within an aspirational district, there are pockets of extreme distress. Intra-district disparity is real. To tackle this, the model evolved into the Aspirational Blocks Program or ABP. As the visual, targeting micro-level disparities demonstrates, the lens zooms in from the broad district map to the specific block map. Targeting 500 blocks across 31 states and UTs, the ABP applies the same template of the ADP but at a hyper-local level. This represents a saturation approach, ensuring that development schemes reach the last mile and cover every eligible beneficiary. By focusing on blocks, the administration can isolate specific lag factors, be it a lack of schools in a tribal belt or poor water connectivity in a specific terrain. This recursive drill down from nation to state to district to block ensures that no pocket of underdevelopment can hide behind the statistics of a larger, better performing unit. Samajh rahe ho? To drive action in a federal structure, you need objective yardsticks. This brings us to the role of indices in fostering competitive federalism. The most prominent among these is the SDG India Index. It serves as the primary tool to monitor progress on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The methodology is rigorous. It maps government schemes to 16 specific goals. Goal 17 is excluded as it relates to international partnership, and it assigns a score from 0 to 100. Look at the SDG performance meter. States are classified as aspirants, performers, front-runners, and achievers. Curious, why is this categorization powerful? Ab socho, it creates political pressure. No chief minister wants their state labeled as an aspirant or laggard while their neighbor is a front-runner. This triggers a race to improve rankings, thereby improving governance delivery on the ground. Next, consider the economic engine with the Export Preparedness Index or EPI. Exports are usually seen as a subject for the center or commerce ministry, but actual production happens in the states. The EPI decentralizes export promotion. It identifies regulatory bottlenecks at the subnational level. The EPI pillars graphic highlights 4 distinct areas: policy, business ecosystem, export ecosystem, and export performance. Crucially, the index acknowledges geographical reality through its classification map. You cannot compare landlocked Bihar with coastal Gujarat, right? Therefore, states are categorized as coastal, landlocked, Himalayan, or UTs to ensure fair comparison. This nuance forces states to maximize their specific geographic advantages rather than mimicking others. Finally, we address the engine of future growth, the India Innovation Index. Modeled on the Global Innovation Index or GII, this tool aims to shift the Indian economy from input-driven, meaning adding more labor or capital, to innovation-driven, meaning better efficiency or tech. The framework is split into enablers representing inputs and performance representing outputs. As shown in the innovation process flow, funnel inputs like human capital and investment are processed to produce knowledge output. A state might have many universities, giving it a high enabler score, but few patents or startups, leading to a low performance score. This discrepancy highlights inefficiency. By ranking states on these parameters, NITI Aayog pushes state governments to not just spend money on education or R&D, but to ensure that this spending translates into tangible intellectual property and commercial products. Collectively, these indices act as a mirror, showing states exactly where they stand and where they need to go. Clear hai?
We have frequently used the terms cooperative and competitive federalism. Now let us rigorously distinguish and synthesize them. Cooperative federalism is the foundation. It is the handshake shown in the top right visual. Here, the philosophy is that a strong nation is built by strong states. The center acts as an enabler, not a commander. NITI Aayog facilitates this through the Governing Council and subgroups, resolving vertical imbalances between center and state disputes, and ensuring that central ministries align their plans with state demands. It is about consensus, joint mandates, and viewing the country as a jigsaw puzzle where every piece or state must fit perfectly to complete the picture. On the other hand, competitive federalism is the race, depicted by the runners on the track. Here, the mechanism is ranking states on transparent indices like SDG, water, health, and innovation. The psychological lever used here is naming and shaming laggards while celebrating achievers. This competition is twofold. Horizontal, meaning state versus state regarding who can attract more FDI or who has a better ease of doing business score, and vertical, meaning states competing for central benefits. For instance, performance-linked incentives, or PLI, are often given to sectors or regions that demonstrate specific efficiency metrics. This dynamic forces states to reform their archaic laws to attract private investment, knowing that capital flows to the most efficient destination, not the most needy one. The brilliance of NITI Aayog lies in the synthesis of these two seemingly opposing forces. Refer to the cycle of federalism diagram at the bottom right. The cycle starts with cooperation in policy design, sitting at the meeting table to ensure everyone agrees on the rules. Once the policy is launched, the phase shifts to competition in implementation, shown by the graph icon. States race to implement the agreed policy best. The results are then captured in rankings or indices. These rankings lead to best practices sharing, where the winner teaches the loser how to improve, which brings us back to cooperation. A classic example is the GST Council, which is a masterpiece of cooperative federalism by deciding rates together, while the ease of doing business ranking is pure competitive federalism. This synthesis ensures that while states compete for efficiency, they remain united in national purpose. Simply brilliant, isn't it? Innovation cannot be mandated. It must be cultivated. This is the mandate of the Atal Innovation Mission, or AIM. The objective is to shift the Indian cultural mindset from job seeker to job creator. The scope is holistic, covering the entire life cycle of a human being's economic contribution. Look at the central funnel of innovation visual. It is wide at the top and narrows down, filtering and refining talent at every stage. The strategy is to saturate the ecosystem with opportunities for self-employment and talent utilization, or SETU. At the top of the funnel, we have the Atal Tinkering Labs, or ATLs. These are established in schools from class 6 to 12 to target the neoteric child. Curious, what is a neoteric mind? It is one driven by curiosity and creativity, not rote learning. The visual of the modern classroom shows children working with 3D printers, robotics, and sensors. NITI Aayog provides a 20 lakh rupee grant to set up these labs. The goal is to create physical workspaces where failure is encouraged. Very good. When a child learns to code or build a robot at age 12, their neural pathways for problem solving are permanently activated. This creates the raw material, or talent, for the future economy. As we move down the funnel to universities and industries, we encounter incubation and acceleration. The Atal Incubation Centers, or AICs, are greenfield incubators set up in universities to turn ideas into businesses. They provide the physical space and mentorship. However, innovation shouldn't be limited to metros. Hence, Atal Community Innovation Centers, or ACICs, focus on Tier 2 and 3 cities and underserved regions, ensuring geographical inclusivity. Furthermore, for the MSME sector, which is the backbone of Indian employment, there is ARISE, standing for Applied Research and Innovation for Small Enterprises, funding product development. The Startup Lifecycle Support graphic at the bottom summarizes this journey. Ideation happens at ATL, incubation at AIC or ACIC, and finally scale-up happens through industry integration. This entire chain is supported by Mentor India, a voluntary network of leaders who guide these young innovators, ensuring that the infrastructure or hardware is matched with guidance or software. Bilkul. It is a complete ecosystem.
In the final analysis, we must address how governance is monitored and corrected. Policies often fail not because of bad intent, but because of poor execution or blindness to results. This is where the Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office, or DMEO, steps in. It represents a critical shift from financial audit to performance audit. Traditionally, the CAG checks if money was spent correctly. DMEO checks if the money produced results. Look at the output versus outcome visual. Building a road is an output, measured in km built or money spent. But did that road reduce logistics costs or improve market access? That is the outcome. DMEO focuses on the outcome. It uses the Output Outcome Monitoring Framework, or OOMF, to evaluate the success of the union budget and central schemes. To evaluate outcomes, you need pristine data. This brings us to data governance and NDAP, the National Data and Analytics Platform. Historically, Indian government data suffered from data silos. Health data sat in one server, education data in another, and transport in a third, as shown in the top right graphic. They never talked to each other. Bilkul nahi. NDAP was created to democratize access to public data. It hosts standardized, interoperable, machine-readable data sets. A researcher can now cross-analyze health data with transport data to see if poor roads correlate with low ambulance access. The dashboard mock-up visual shows how this data is visualized on maps for easy decision-making. To ensure ministries take data seriously, the Data Governance Quality Index, or DGQI, ranks them on their data preparedness. Finally, all these elements like DMEO, data, and rankings integrate into a feedback loop. Refer to the cycle at the bottom right. Step 1 is policy implementation. Step 2 is data collection via platforms like NDAP. Step 3 is evaluation by DMEO to see if targets were met. Step 4 is the crucial course correction. If the data shows a policy is failing, it is tweaked or reformed immediately. This is evidence-based policy. It replaces intuition or political whims with hard facts. Global indices like the Ease of Doing Business or Global Hunger Index are also monitored via GIRG to improve India's global perception and domestic efficiency. This creates a self-correcting system where governance continuously evolves based on real-time reality checks.
समझ गए? This is how modern governance works.